Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, Middletown Township Public Schools District website, and the posting of such notice at the August T. Minor administrative offices in each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call, Mrs. Keller. Ms. Stark.
Mrs. Minunis.
Here.
Mrs. Skolaski.
Here.
Mr. Safarowski.
Here.
Mrs. Tobacco.
Here.
Mrs. Torres.
Here.
Mrs. Weinstein.
Here.
Mrs. Wright. Mr. Capone.
Here.
Mr. Aviva.
Here. Need a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Meeting back to order. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I'm going to rise to the pledge, and please remain standing after the pledge. Your district has been recently informed of the passing of a former employee, Kathleen Mosick. Kathy was the secretary to the principal at Leonardo School for over 23 years before retiring in 2009. We extend our deepest sympathy to the Mosick family. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to go right into, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm good.
Going to go into committee reports. Ms. Wright's not here. Somebody going to give the curriculum report?
I can take care of that, Mr. Review.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Sorry for the delay. The curriculum committee met on Monday, June 15th. Always a positive and always a productive meeting. Lots of dialogue. So we'll go through some highlights for everybody. To begin, we're very excited about the official launch of Amplified Desmos, which is our new K-5 math program. For a time, we had two different programs, K-2 and then 3-5. We're proud of the fact that we're now going to be unified under one Amplified Desmos umbrella. We really want our students to be confident mathematicians. So for so long, we've all heard, well, I'm not really a math person, but we really want to reverse that. We want our students to feel comfortable and confident with math. Moreover, we're looking for some real shared experiences in those math classes where students are collectively and collaboratively working to solve problems while also finding that time for that differentiated, individualized instruction that we know they need in order to make sure that every learner is excelling in all of our classrooms. So we did have our first training with all of our K-5 staff members on Tuesday, June 2nd. We're also in the process of continuing to explore M-Class, which is a product within Amplify, and we do believe that we can use M-Class in lieu of iReady on the math side for our K-5 classrooms. We think it's a fantastic product, and we think that our students and our teachers will embrace it. We're still doing some work in the curriculum department on that, but rest assured, we'll communicate to all of our families about what our philosophy and our vision will be before the start of the year, certainly over the summer. So more to come on Amplify. I always say that excellence isn't always being the best at everything, but it's always doing your best in every endeavor without any exception whatsoever. And our students, they really are the best. And I want to be very clear on that. So to point out, we had 83 students between High School North and High School South earn membership in the prestigious 7-800 SAT Club. That is very, very impressive and indicative of the things that we're doing in this district. So I'm incredibly proud of our students, our staff, and of course our families. Additionally, we had 76 high school students between North and South earn the seal of biliteracy. So that is our students demonstrating proficiency in 2 or more languages, which is another outstanding feat for our students. We also wanted to give a shout out to the National Honor Society advisors at both High School North and High School South, in addition to the tremendous number of students that earned the opportunity to be inducted into those honor societies. So students that are inducted into the Honor Society demonstrate scholarship, they demonstrate leadership, they demonstrate character, and they demonstrate service. And we had some fantastic ceremonies at both high schools celebrating their excellence. In addition, we had our senior awards night recently at both of our high schools, which really was an opportunity to spotlight how wonderful our entire community is. So many of our local organizations came in and presented scholarships and awards to our graduating seniors. Again, indicative of the excellence that we have here in this district. Really a proud evening, and I do want to give a shout out to our guidance departments at both High School North and High School South for organizing those efforts. There's a lot of moving parts, and they really were extraordinarily successful. Report cards, they will be coming out on Friday, June 26th. Now, we're well aware of the fact we're working on communication, right? That is something that our district is really emphasizing and honed in on. So students in grades 4 through 12 have a live grade book. So we recognize the fact that our parents can always access the grades, but we still really do want you to celebrate those report cards when they're released on June 26th. It's a great opportunity to honor the achievements of our students, but also take some time to demonstrate and talk about where we can continue to improve. So again, those are coming out on June 26th. We will send our typical text message to all of our parents on the morning of, just as that last second reminder that they're available in the portal. At Ocean Avenue School, we had Catch the Reading Wave, so I wanted to give a shout out to OAS because this was a wonderful summer reading kickoff event in the APR at Ocean Avenue School. There was singing, there was dancing, there was trivia. Ms. Minui's can attest to this event. But what was most important about it was we distributed some summer reading books, and we really emphasized the importance of reading over the summer months, right? We want to make sure that we're avoiding the summer slide, but more so, we want to encourage our students to be, lively readers and grow a passion for reading. And we know that reading is truly the foundation of educational success. So the more we can emphasize reading over those summer months, in addition to all that fun time and time with family and friends, the more we can read, the better off we're going to be. We also wanted to talk a little bit about the outdoor learning experiences that we're seeing throughout the district. So when the spring weather comes around, I think it's important that our students are outside, and a lot of them are. And our elementary schools have gardens, and they have outdoor learning spaces. So you can do all sorts of things out there, from science when you're looking at growing vegetables and fruits, to sorting if you want to do some math with those vegetables and fruits, to writing when you want to come in and write about the experiences that you had outside in the gardens, or just like I said, reading under a tree. We want to really emphasize the importance of learning from your surroundings and certainly being healthy in the outdoors, and there was just simply a lot of that throughout the spring across our campuses. I did want to talk quickly about the Perkins Grant. So we're funding some really exciting CTE endeavors at High School North and High School South, including some upgrades with our computer systems, some online internship opportunities, and really just focusing on how we can support our CTE students, that's career and technical education, to be ready for the real world after graduation. I also wanted to point out that we currently have 26 dual enrollment courses offered at both High School North and High School South, which really is an impressive list. We work with a series of local universities, and we're always looking to add to that. So hopefully by the end of the summer, we'll have a few more courses, including TV and Film 3, as well as painting, as dual enrollment opportunities, so our students can earn credits while taking those courses right here on our campuses. We're also piloting AP Business. So this is a brand new course, again, sort of aligned with what we're doing with our CTE classes. Right now, we have 28 AP courses that we offer in the district. This would be number 29, and we'll keep the community updated on how things are going in that brand new AP Business course next year. I also wanted to make note of some upcoming events. So we're working on college and career readiness, and we have 2 events scheduled for next year, Thursday, October 15th and Thursday, April 22nd. Long way off, but it is on our centralized calendar, which I wanted to mention to everyone as well. But Rob Franick, who is the editor-in-chief of Princeton Review, will be visiting High School North. This is for all of our students in our district, but we'll be visiting High School North on Thursday, October 15th, to talk about your specific roadmap to college, and then coming to High School South in the spring to talk about how college admissions counselors admit students and what the inside of that process actually looks like. The central calendar I did want to reference, so if you visit our website, you can see all the orientation dates are set for August, as well as upcoming events with Rob Franick, and by the end of this week, we will be sharing out the back to school night schedule, which is just in the finalization process. We'll get that out in our weekly newsletter, as well as on the calendar before the end of this week. And my last update is just an update to the parent university that we've been running for some time. we're just rebranding it and we're renaming it. We want to get as many parents into the media centers at High School North and High School South for a series of events where we talk about curriculum programs and student service programs, just so that we're educating our parents on all the things that we're doing in the district. It's going to start in September with a session that I will run on communication, where to find information in the district, what social media platforms to follow, just so that you're always in the know. We're calling that the Parent Academy for Educational Excellence. The acronym is PACE, and those dates will be out to you by Friday as well. That's it for the curriculum department.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Facilities, Ms. Minuis?
All right. We had our meeting on June 8th. The first thing we talked about agenda items, the Verizon easement. Did we ever get that contract?
It's not on the agenda for this month. They're still
Okay.
working on that. So
We were working with the township on where to put a Verizon pole installation. It was a problem putting it on township property, and they asked us to put it on school property, and I think the committee came to a consensus where it really is maybe a couple feet away from where it was supposed to originally be. We're waiting to see how that works out.
the update I have on that is the township is arranging a meeting between us and Verizon to go out to the site and make sure that we finalize a good location. So hopefully that'll happen next week.
Yeah, because I noticed when we went to graduation the other day too, the pictures that we saw were not accurate. Again, like where they said the sidewalk ended, it didn't end, it went completely around. So, you know, all the pictures are not in the same thing, but it wouldn't change the conversation that we had because it would still be, you know, looking to put it in the same place. So we talked about that. The new Monmouth playground equipment, this school community has selected the new playground equipment. The total cost with installation was $93,200, which is within the $100,000 included in the 26-27 budget. We did see pictures of it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and hope this is something that we can look to do each year for schools that are in need. And I know that when we met shared service the last time, there was a little bit of money left, a little bit of money that's going to be going to Ocean Avenue Playground to fix the rubber on the bottom of the playground. So that we still have to identify. The PTA did a great job doing this. The kids got to pick. I give them credit. They raised a lot of money the year before to start this program, and now it's finally going to be complete for the amount of kids that they have in that school. The vehicle lift. The committee discussed the proposed purchase of a vehicle lift for the maintenance compound. The lift will allow the facility staff to perform more maintenance work on its vehicles in-house. We spend a lot of money going out of house. If we have this equipment, they could do the work themselves, and it would save us a lot of money. The lift purchase included in the 25-26 budget. The total cost was $58,784. Current facility issues, MTEA Health and Safety Committee meeting recap. Mr. Nazer and Mrs. Doherty met with the MTEA Health and Safety Committee, the NJEA WEC Environmental Specialist, and the NJEA Field Representative on May 28 to discuss ongoing HVAC and roofing concerns. The particles discharged from the elementary Aerodel units, while the NJEA WEC Environmental Specialist agreed that that material that is blowing out of the certain Aerodel units is not in itself harmful. The presence of any particle in the air is not beneficial. The group discussed the deployment of, I don't even know how to say that, our air quality devices in rooms with concern to measure air quality in real time and allow continual monitoring. The group also discussed ongoing roof leak issues at Leonardo, High School North, and Lincroft. The district is arranging for repairs over the summer for the problem areas. These were all the concerns that have been reported up to recently, and they're all being addressed. And River Plaza also. Leonardo had moisture intrusion growth The orgasm growth in room 17 at Leonardo appeared again in May. The growth was removed and was not identified as mold. Upon investigation with a drone, cracks were observed along the soffit detail above the second floor windows. Repairs will take place over the summer to eliminate the source of water intrusion. This has been an ongoing thing for a couple years, and Adam has just got to the bottom of it, and it's going to be addressed. The Lincroft Annex IAQ testing, initial testing results were normal. The district is awaiting the full report. Harmony water main leak, the district will investigate a possible water main leak at Harmony Elementary School this summer. Water usage for this building indicates that a leak may be present. This may also be contributing to the issues with the curbing, and the curbing is on the list of repairs for the summer work. Information on the Facilities Committee, work orders. The committee reviewed a snapshot of the Operations Hero work order maintenance and dashboard, which includes information about the nature of outstanding work orders and age of outstanding work orders. This will be reviewed monthly by the Facilities Committee going forward. Indoor environmental quality testing, the committee reviewed the list of IEQ testing for this year. This will also be reviewed each month to keep the committee current. We talked about the 26-27 capital items, the Harmony Curb project, which I just talked about. It's still being scoped out. High School South door replacements. The district architect has been engaged to create a bid specification for the project. The anticipated timeline is the bids will be taken on July 15th with contract awarded in July 22nd board meeting. Facilities use we talked about for 24-25, 25-26. The committee reviewed the revenue generated by the facilities use for the current and prior year. The rates have been increased the rates haven't been increased in quite some time. The committee will be looking at options to potentially increasing the rates to increase the revenue for the district, which will help us to keep up with these buildings as we lease them out. Potential Lincroft Elementary fence donation. The PTO is considering donating a fence for the grounds at Lincroft. The location would be in the front of the building. The fence would run across the front of the property line and along the driveway. It's truly is a safety thing. It would be a positive thing for them to do this, because if you go by Lincroft, it's on the main road. Other schools have fences in the front to protect, so this fence would actually not only protect the students, but it would give them more use of the school property. And that's what we discussed in facilities.
Thank you, Ms. Mooney. All right, finance. The committee met on June 16th. We discussed the agenda items, liability insurance renewal for 26-27, being the 3-year commitment to the diploma JIF expired June 30th. We did a full marketing for the July 1st renewal. The diploma JIF premium proposal for workers' comp and liability for 26-27 represents a 5.23% increase over 25-26, which was slightly less than we budgeted. The total coverage premium was $3,260,000. We'll be looking to approve resolutions for the NJDOE Focus Grant, it's $20,000. That grant supports literacy programming. A NJDOE Perkins grant for $27,940. That supports career and technical education. We also have on parent groups insurance coverage. It's the annual renewal for authorization of certain parent groups to be included. Also, an approval for a Monmouth County Shared Services Agreement. This is an approval for the district to execute a shared services agreement with the County of Monmouth for certain facilities related services as needed. There's also a couple of technology items that we'll be approving tonight. Dell workstations and monitors. Approval of 105 new workstations and 80 monitors. Total cost is $58,020, and that was included in the 26-27 budget. Line-wise school manager, class-wise classroom, and line-wise monitor. the approval of purchase of renewal of these internet filter and monitoring software platforms. The total cost is $97,880. Again, that was included in the 26-27 budget. And TTI wireless licensing and support will not be on the agenda this month. We'll be pushing until next month. One update we'll be approving tonight. We met with the Shared Services Committee for the approval of the SLEO agreement with the township. And as everybody knows, our contract was expiring. So after further discussion, the township offered us an annual cost to the district of $950,000, which represents an annual savings of roughly $350,000. It's a 2-year contract, so that's going to save us approximately $700,000 over the 2-year period. So we thank the township for their support with that. Deposits to capital and maintenance reserves. We have a resolution to transfer up to $3.5 million to the capital reserve for the year ending June 30th, 2026. This is the maximum transfer that we're allowed to, that this represents. So just one note on that, this transfer includes the extraordinary aid, which we don't know until late June or early July, and we budgeted $1.8 million this year in extraordinary aid for the 25-26 years, so we'll have that finalized hopefully in the upcoming weeks. We have some professional appointments on the agenda tonight. Special education attorney, that was done through an RFP process. We'll be looking for an approval of Meth Vessel and Werble as the district special education attorney. An auditor, we did an RFP process for this as well, and the district is recommending Holman, Frenier, and Allison as the district's auditor. We only received one proposal as a result of the RFP. The proposed fee for 26-27 is $66,500, and this includes a review of the district's ASSA and represents a 1.5% increase over the current year's fees. Special counsel would be looking to appoint the Bush Law Group and district physician, Seaview Orthopedics, Dr. Nelson. This will be a reappointment. Cost and fee for that for 2026 would be the same as 2025-26 is $30,000. We also have a jointure transportation with Union Beach for a route to the Shore Center. Stale checks, write-off stale checks, for a year-end closeout. The MOESC agreement. And we'll also be looking for approval of Chapter 47 report to award contracts which is the annual list. And our tax levy payment schedule is also on the agenda this evening. The committee also discussed an enrollment projection update and for the upcoming 5 years and revisiting the idea of a consulting firm. This discussion will continue through the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee. The committee will be hopefully meeting in July. The sponsorship promoter services, which did not get approved last month, we discussed allowing Shore District Advertising, the district sponsorship promoter, to continue to work on generating advertising revenue for the next few months, since their contract was originally scheduled and structured with a 3-year term, and the committee will review their progress in the fall and then make a determination on the way to move forward. We also have a resolution to approve NJSBA healthcare resolution on the agenda, and that is it. 5 minutes.
I have a couple of questions. When we look at the capital, can you go back to the capital reserve?
Sure.
Where is that? Resolution to transfer 3.5 million to the capital reserves.
Right.
We have 3.5 million. Can you clarify what that is?
Amy, you want to clarify what that The one?
So this the reserve deposits are allowed in June, at the end of the fiscal year, for any remaining unexpended expenses or revenues that have come in more than anticipated, or a combination of both. So when we end the fiscal year, we will know how much we have, as far as savings from our budget, basically, to allow us to deposit into reserve. As Mr. Avita explained, the 3.5 million number is a maximum number. Doesn't mean that we're obligated to make any deposit, and it doesn't mean that that's the actual amount that the deposit will end up being. It will likely be less, but we put a number on there so that it's a not to exceed. And again, the board isn't obligated to do that at all, but we are recommending that if there's revenues and expenses left at the end of the year, that they be put into the capital reserve. If you don't put the resolution on, you're not allowed to do it. So that's why we have the board approve in June. That's the way it is in administrative code. So we will know, once we complete the year and we finish our closeout process, how much we're actually able to do.
Okay. So when we were talking about the extraordinary aid of 1.8 million, what is that? So
we budget revenue in our budget every year. We anticipate that we're going to be receiving extraordinary aid as a revenue. For 25-26, we won't know what the actual amount that we're going to receive until the end of this month, but it could be also July. Like, we don't get that till the end of the year. So depending upon whether that revenue comes in more, less, the same than what we budgeted, that's going to impact how much we have available at the end of the year. The funding hasn't been consistent. There's some years where the percentages have been higher. Recent years it's been dropping down again. They're funding less of it. So if we put in for reimbursement of expenses over certain thresholds for special ed, sometimes
so
they're
it's
funding.
a special ed. That's what my question
it's related to special ed.
Really,
but we put in for $100 to get reimbursed. Some
Sure.
years we'll get $80 back. Some years we'll get $50 back. We don't know until they finalize the state budget for that.
And that's state, not federal.
State.
Okay. But you're thinking 1.8 million?
Well, that's what we budgeted when we did the 25-26 budget. That's what we anticipated. So if we receive that amount, we will have residual revenue at the end of the year. If we receive less, it'll be less. If we are lucky enough to receive more, then that will help us even more.
And we'll know that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Right.
And so I think my last follow-up with that is we're looking at, I know that in the facilities committee, we were talking about different issues with buildings and whatnot. So could some of that go into the maintenance reserve as well as the capital reserve? How does that get decided?
We are recommending capital reserve because in our 26-27 budget, we did budget for a significant deposit into our maintenance reserve already. So that's been taken care of. And so this money would now work toward bringing up our capital reserve.
Okay. My only concern is hearing all of the maintenance issues and not having that. If this goes into capital reserve, which I do think we need, we know that we need. That's part of the reason the budget wasn't passed initially by the county last year, because it didn't go into the capital reserves. But if we are in a dire strait of maintaining our buildings, I want to know just how that balance happens of the two.
So, like I was
Yes.
explaining, in the 26-27 budget, we budgeted a deposit of $2.3 million into maintenance reserve. So again, we've already allocated monies to go into that.
And that would start July 1?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any
You're
other
welcome.
questions?
I don't.
Finance, before we move on?
Well, I have a question about the sponsorship promoter. I know that we talked about that in committee, and Mr. Capone brought up allowing them another 3 months, and you said you were going to speak to them. Did you speak to them?
I did. I said that the board was willing to see what kind of activity and revenue they could generate over the next few months, and that we were going to reevaluate.
Did they seem Like they were going to go after some sponsorships or?
Yes, and as we talked about in committee, he said that they had actually hired an additional person for this area to focus on, Monmouth County districts. I think they've signed on a couple of other districts since they signed us on, so they've got more activity in the area to support. And he was hopeful that, we would be seeing some more things come through over the summer.
I think really quickly, we also asked for a rate card. Is that possible to just see what they're putting in the public as far as like the costs for the sponsorships and how they're presenting the different placements?
Yeah, I can ask. I mean, they, for a sheet or what they use.
Yeah, whatever they're putting out as collateral into the public would be great to see. Thanks.
Yeah, I also asked for that because it would be good for us to know what they're advertising and what the prices are that we're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask, in what form they can do it, and I know sometimes it differs between, because sometimes they'll get a one-year deal, sometimes they'll have somebody commit for multiple years, so depending upon what that is, it could be a little bit different, but I'll get something on that.
There should be like a general starting rate card, and then
Yeah, yes, I will ask what they're using and get that.
So, I'm sorry, I do have one more thing that I wanted to look at. The enrollment projection update and related services for the RFP. I'm a little confused about why that's in the finance versus facilities versus long-range plan committee. So can you explain to me why it's piecemeal, why we have been doing the long-range facilities plan in facilities up until now? You proposed the new committee about that. We have had discussion and some disagreement about how that committee has come to be. And now through the finance committee, we're doing this projection update. So is that through the long-range facilities plan committee? Is it through the facilities committee, or is it through the finance committee? Or is that something that we could really just talk about as a full board?
Did you want me to answer that?
You can answer.
So it actually crosses multiple committees.
Right, which is why I think
Which is
it's-
why, and this was again a discussion about the concept of doing it,
Right.
just getting the conversation started. Like Mr. Avita said, this would continue into the long-range facilities plan committee. The facilities committee would be, an enrollment projection is something that a district our size really should be doing every year, just as for planning purposes, but also, it ties into our budget and what we're expecting for enrollment. So that's almost, for a district our size and where we're at, it should be basically a routine thing that we update. Getting into other related services and looking at things related to enrollment, but expanding into other areas, that would be something that we would develop a scope of work on. But again, that would cross multiple committees. We just started the conversation in finance, but eventually, it would hit all of the committees and be a board level discussion.
And is it also part of strategic planning?
It would be.
Wasn't that something we discussed during strategic planning last year about having these projections?
Well, it would be something as we develop the action plans for the strategic plan. This would be something that would be part of the action plan and would support the implementation of the strategic plan. Not necessarily, it's not really an objective or a goal,
Right,
but it's an
a
action
tool.
plan related to that, yes.
Okay.
I just have a question on the committee, because as I reported out last month in my committee, that Mrs. Gallagher brought up the long-range facilities plan. She asked every member of the facilities committee if they wanted to be on it. Aaron and I said yes. Mr. Avita and Mr. Capone didn't say anything. And next thing we know, the committee's changed. You did what you said. You were going to bring it to the board meeting and find other board members, and now all of a sudden the whole committee's changed.
Well,
Why
we
is that?
discussed it at the last meeting, and I asked the whole board. I thought it would be fair to open it up to the entire board on who wanted to serve on the committee.
But when we did it in the committee and I reported out last month, you never said that in our finance committee. She offered the entire finance facilities committee to be on it. Two of us said yes. Then she said she would go out to the rest of the board and see if two other people that would want to be on it.
I
Next
said
thing
it
I
would
know,
be
the
discussed at the
committe's
board
changed.
meeting.
No,
It
that's
wasn't
not what was
changed.
said.
It wasn't
I reported it out. That's not what was said. It was Aaron and I on it, and then Amy was going to find two other people because you guys didn't commit. And that's what she did at the last meeting. She brought it up. And the next thing you know, the committee's changed.
Well, the committee wasn't set in the facilities meeting. We couldn't set
was two
the
people
committee.
there.
I didn't set the committee until we met as a full board.
But I think what we're saying, and I brought this to your attention, and I'm
And
fully,
I responded.
I didn't say you didn't. I was finishing.
Uh,
What I was saying was that it was perceived in the facilities committee meeting that the two of us were going to be on it. And it does not seem fair that there have been two new committees and some people are on both of those committees, and I asked to be on one and got none. It's something I'm very interested in as the facilities committee member. It's something I've asked about numerous times, and the only way I have gotten answers is to be asking the questions in person, because these questions are not answered in our full meetings. So I will make it noted here. If there's anybody on the committee that's willing to give up their spot, I would very much appreciate it so that I can continue to be on it. But, you know, I don't have that power. I'm just asking for some collegial courtesy here.
The same thing happened to me with the wellness committee, and it's on tape, it's on video. We sat in the all-purpose room when Sarah brought this up. I was the first one to say, wanted to be on that committee. Mrs. Gallagher said yes. Mrs. Doherty said yes. Next thing you know, I'm not on the committee. So the committees are being made up. I'm not sure how you're doing this when we're talking about this stuff in public and we're committee.
So just to clarify, that the Long-Range Facilities Plan Committee would fall under an ad hoc committee of the board, which the board president does have the authority to appoint members to. The Wellness Committee is really more of an administrative committee where, you know, there's board members that can be involved, but there's also other people on it as well. Administration participates, you know, eventually we'll have members of the community and also the greater school community. So
I'm just talking about the process.
Right.
We did it in
I'm just
public.
explaining how the committees are
And as you see with all the
organically
committees,
generated.
the minutes are circulated, there's questions asked to the board member, everything is discussed in the open. Nobody's hiding any information. If you're not on the committee, you'll get the information, or you can ask questions.
Respectfully,
Well,
Mr. Vita,
Okay.
respectfully, it's not always true. There are people that do not show up to meetings and do not let people know, and we are short members, and it's been happening a lot in the past 2 months. Things happen. I am the first to say when I have missed a meeting, but I have let you know as soon as I can. That's not the same for all the members.
Listen, not everybody notifies me when they're missing a meeting.
And that is-
Not here tonight that haven't notified me.
But
So,
that is
you know,
the-
I'm not a policeman up here.
You continue to say that, but it is your job to rule over the board and make it fair as a leader.
I think we're all adults and everybody can act.
We are all adults, but not everybody is respectful that way.
Any other questions on finance? Before we move along? Student services, Mr. Lynch.
For the student services meeting, we had a shorter agenda, but there were a lot of really good things that we talked about. First was the Harmony Preschool Program with Inclusive Excellence. There was an award that was given to only 3 districts in the state for inclusion excellence. So Middletown was one of those that was invited to the Department of Ed celebration. We do not have the preschool expansion grant, but we are still doing the preschool inclusion project and are adding another inclusion class this year at Ocean Avenue. They are also discussing looking at the kindergarten students moving up, the preschool students moving up into kindergarten and doing all that they can to get them into an inclusive environment instead of self-contained. So it's taking what the preschool program is doing and expanding it into the lower elementaries, which will then in turn hopefully continue with the inclusion initiative. We talked about the Bayshore Autism Program graduation, as well as High School South's Autism and Transition Program graduation. There was a ton of excitement and photos and enthusiasm with each celebration and the meaningful events that honored our students' achievements and celebrated their growth and reinforced their readiness to embrace their successful future. We also discussed the Workforce Academy of Middletown, which is the name of the Lincroft Annex program. The students and families will have a walkthrough event in July at 1:30, July 23rd at 1:30 p.m. And it is really to ensure that all students have the chance to get acclimated with the building, as they have done some visits this year, but they're going to continue to before the final program starts in September. And I know that Mr. Revita talked about the attorney RFP, and we talked about it in special services and had Ms. Granger come explain the process to the full board during exec session for how they're going to choose the special attorney for next year. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Shared services, there was 2 items. We met on June 8th and then again on June 15th. June 8th, the township originally proposed they wanted to move to I had mentioned this before, a quarterly payment for the contract rather than like a pay-as-you-go invoices for services. And then once they finalized the numbers, which we just reported out, was $950,000, a savings of $350,000 per year for a 2-year contract. And the only other item we discussed was the Bayview Field improvements. The township just awarded the contract for this project, and that's expected to be completed by Labor Day. I also think they're doing the parking lot over there. Right?
They're doing the pavement,
They're doing Yeah.
They're doing some additional payment. We actually have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow.
Excellent. Okay. All right, that was it for shared services. Next is Wellness and Nutrition Committee, Ms. Weinstein.
So we had our first kickoff meeting on the 29th. We reviewed with the administration the policy that we were supposed to be following for this committee, and then kind of just discuss the initial committee structure. Right now, what we're doing is going back to each and every school and seeing what they are exactly doing for their wellness initiatives, whether it be outdoor education, gardening clubs, physical education, and just kind of compiling what every school is doing to see what we might be able to make more uniform and what we can focus on. We're looking at putting together kind of our focus and what we want to do as far as like our mission statement. But overall, we came up with a list of things that the committee is going to look into, which are, food, ingredients and quality, physical education and health curriculums. Outdoor education was a big one, where we're focusing on getting kids out in the sunshine as much as possible when the weather permits. Screen time initiatives within the schools, especially at the younger ages. Bell-to-bell initiatives, obviously that has been like a big topic within our state. After this past winter, indoor recess, how we can get kids moving a little bit more after there was 3 feet of snow on the playgrounds for 3 months, I think, or something. Focusing on cleaning supplies, getting chemicals out of the cleaning supplies. Again, gardening initiatives within each and every school, and maybe potentially using some of our unused property to focus on potentially making like a gardening community or something that the different schools could participate in. And then focusing on lighting and potentially changing that to make more healthy improvements or lighting for our students and their focus. So a lot of different topics to be discussed. Obviously, we're really just getting this off the ground, but we're really excited about getting all of our staff and community involved just to make sure that, we're giving all of our kids the most healthy approach to education that we possibly can every day.
Thank you, Ms. Weinstein. Okay, that's it for committee reports. Next up, public comment, agenda items only, 30 minutes. Please state your name.
Good evening, Scott McPherson, Middletown resident. When you spoke about the LRFP committee, who is actually on that committee?
That's Ms. Minuis, Mr. Capone, Ms. Weinstein, and Ms. Scholasky.
And why was that committee formed?
It was the recommendation of the business administrator.
Okay, and what's the goal of that committee?
Discussed it.
It's to, and again, this is actually for agenda items only, but we'll answer the question. We're not voting on this tonight or anything related to that, but it is to look at the the use of the buildings, planning for, the future. I mean, there was a lot of discussion about the long-range facilities plan over the last few months, and as we've also been talking about, we're at a critical juncture with our bonds and our financing, and the fact that we're going to have that fully paid off in the next few years, and that the buildings are in need of a lot of improvements, a lot of basic things, and then some other improvements, and kind of marrying all that together with the fact that we're at a point where, we should be looking at a new large scope project, because we're going to have everything else paid off. The fact that the buildings need it, and also the continuing discussion about, how we're using the buildings.
Thank you. And I only brought it up because it was discussed prior to public comment. And then the enrollment projections. Do you have enrollment projections, or you're talking about getting them for the next 5 years?
No, it was done, 5 years ago, so.
No, it was actually done about a year and a half ago. We did, and so we really, like I said, should be updating that and because they do it for basically 5 years. That's about the longest time they would say it's reliable. So every year, if we move that down the line, of course, we'll be getting further out. So we do want to get an update on that as well.
And then did anyone other than Holman, Freena, and Allison submit a bid for the audited service? I think you guys said no, there's just one.
We only have one proposal.
So I want to give praise to whoever helped obtain the Focus and Perkins grants. It appears these grants will enhance learning opportunities and support student achievement, so that's great. With respect to the 105 Dell workstations and the monitors, where are those going to be placed throughout the district?
Throughout the district. We rotate aging machines out on an annual basis.
And then the shared services agreement with Monmouth County, what is that specifically for?
They offer a list of facilities-related services. It doesn't mean that we are committed to use it. It just allows us to use it if we need to. So we, they have things like paving. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's all basically, it's geared for municipalities and for school districts, but again, it would just allow us to avail ourselves of those services if we wanted them.
Okay, have we ever done that before?
We haven't done it, we haven't adopted a formal agreement with them. We have utilized the county for some one-off things, but all of these shared services agreements and cooperatives, it's better to memorialize it in a formal agreement. They have a standard template that's up on their website that they offer to all the local government units.
Thank you. Yeah, and then finally, just happy to see that the playground equipment will be purchased for New Monmouth. It's been a long time coming. I know they worked really hard on trying to advocate for that, and it's great to see that they're going to see that, get that, and it comes to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Ashley Studd, Middletown. In relation to item 11J, personnel, we are noticing quite a few fantastic, it's just in general, it's nothing there other than that's the personnel section of the agenda. We've noticed quite a few fantastic staff, including the Bay Shore supervisor, are leaving to go to other area schools, and I can't help but know that it's the instability that was caused by some really drastic decisions of some board members that I don't blame them. I would not want to be worried about my job. I can't imagine what it was like in those schools for those months when they were dealing with this. There's been so much instability. What has the board planned to do to regain trust for our staff and families? I'm seeing absolutely no answer. Okay, thanks.
Emily Donahue, Middletown resident. I'm probably just going to read because I'm kind of tired of talking about the same stuff, but the resolution before the board states tonight that up to $3.5 million of unexpended appropriations can go into capital reserves. As a taxpayer and a parent, I want to understand how they become available. You explained it, Amy, and we do appreciate that, but not knowing how much money we're just going to have potentially as a surplus when we're talking about closing schools is kind of concerning, guys.
So we just expect more than that. Also putting $3.5 million into capital reserves and not knowing what your intentions could be with that, also concerning. Over the past year, our community has repeatedly been told that there's difficult decisions that have to be made, including school closures by many of you, based on the district's financial challenges. Yet tonight, we're discussing the transfer of millions of dollars into reserves. I get it, up to, but let's be real, we're 7 days away from the end of the month. You definitely know how much it's gonna be. We'll also know that in 2027, there's maturing bonds that are expected to provide the district with significant additional financial flexibility. So they absolutely raise important questions that you guys just fail to answer, or maybe you don't even think about. What is the long-term plan? You're forming a long-range facility plan, that's great. Why you're taking it away from facilities, and you're really cutting out the community, right? This is something we talked about doing in strategic planning. You're silencing the community again. So that's how it feels. What's the plan for our buildings? What's the plan for enrollment? What's the plan for staffing? How are you going to plan to restore the confidence among families, employees, and taxpayers? There's a whole lot of extra money that you're collecting from taxpayers. You all say you care about the taxpayer, but there's a whole lot of money that you're putting into reserves. Why? We continue to debate facilities and finances, and uncertainty continues to take a toll on our district. As Ashley just said, our teachers and staff are making decisions about their futures. Talented educators are leaving for neighboring districts that can offer stability, direction, and confidence in what lies ahead. Every teacher who leaves takes with them the valuable experience, relationships, and institutional knowledge that directly benefits our students. Our kids are paying the price for your poor decisions. Remember that, because our kids are supposed to come first. And ultimately, it's only them that are paying the highest price besides the taxpayer that you continue to talk about. They lose trusted teachers, they lose the continuity, stability, and they're asked to navigate constant uncertainty while the adults in this room, which you continue to say you are, continue to debate what comes next. At the same time, taxpayers continue to invest millions of dollars without really knowing what it's going to, or that you say that we're not doing. But every single year, you're continuing to say that we're in financial crisis. Having $6 million in reserves, it's a whole lot of money, guys. Okay? I'm all for reserves, but not without transparency. Our community has every right to expect that those investments are guided by a clear vision and future. Where are the board goals? Why are we talking about long-range facilities plan without a strategic plan? Those are supposed to come and be one and the same. The public has a right at that table. We should not be funding uncertainty, and students should not be bearing the consequences of it. We're not asking for perfection.
Can you please wrap it up? That's
Yep.
3 minutes.
I have about 30 seconds. Thank you. We're asking for leadership. We're asking for transparency. We're asking for a comprehensive roadmap that explains how reserves, future financial capacity, facility staffing, and educational priorities
3
fit
minutes
together.
are up.
Thank you. And to plan to serve students
3 minutes
first.
are up. Thank you.
We delay our vision, our students have to come first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Vera Paseki, Ashar Drive, Middletown. I wanted to publicly congratulate, as we call her, Mrs. K or Miss Daria, on her retirement. Sorry. My family can't thank her enough for stepping in to support our daughter this year as she was struggling. There are no words to express our appreciation, and truly paras are this district's unsung heroes. I was also going to wish Dr. Alphone best of luck in her new endeavors, but since she's not here, I won't say nice things. No, I'm kidding. I've always appreciated our conversations and her data and research-based approach, and in particular, her commitment to inclusion. Also on the Wellness Committee, please include the Workforce Academy. I think gardens and you know, that sort of thing would be a perfect fit for that environment.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie Little Page, Middletown. So you will be voting on if you'll put up to $3.5 million in the reserve, that's correct? Okay, so in February, March, we were told we were gonna be $3 million in debt, but then we received about $900,000 in state aid, and then with the 3% and change tax levy increase from the Board of Ed, we received around another $2 million, which put us at about like $400,000 in debt. but that didn't account for any teacher retirements. So I guess my question is, did we end the year in without a deficit? Did we end the year in a surplus?
You're talking about the current year? Well, it's not, it ends June 30th, but it is projected that we will end the current year with the surplus. The things that you've been talking about were for next year's budget, 26, 27.
Okay.
But as we did discuss in other discussions, there was, we did talk about the fact that we would be able, there were other ways to close the budget gap for next year, which is what we're now doing, and that was always part of the picture.
How much money did we end in a surplus?
Well, like I said, we have an end of the year, and a big variable in that amount is going to be how much we receive in this extraordinary aid. So I really can't tell you exactly until we get that number.
And that number you were projecting was around 1.8 million, but it could be more, it could be less.
It could be more, it could be less, yes.
So we're projecting to end our year in a surplus of around $1.8 million.
Right now, I have the number a little over 2 million because it's the 1.8 plus some other monies that we've been able to save out of the current year budget by being more efficient with things.
Okay, I just wanted to fully understand that. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Kristen Romo, Middletown. Just piggybacking off of that thought, I feel like that was not something that was introduced in the budgeting process, that what we were going to be looking at as far as the surplus at the end of last year, because I felt like at the last meeting when the vote was what we were going to do as far as school closures versus not, versus is money going in reserves, because if the schools weren't closed, that was the bargaining chip, right? Like we were going to have money in reserves, but now it sounds like we have the surplus that you kind of probably could see coming, but it wasn't mentioned in the whole budgeting process. So I feel like, at least from our side, we didn't see that, and then that was a big piece of the puzzle, because $3.5 million is a lot of money, and you were talking about closing 3 schools for less money than that. So that humongous surplus, that's a big number. If it was big enough to close 3 schools, it's big. So to have that going forward, because I'm trying to look forward and positive here, to have that number, what is our projected surplus going into the next year, that would help us. And that should help all of you in deciding what you're budgeting and what you need to do for the future. I know it's not a crystal ball and it's not perfect, but it's something that wasn't on our radar.
So if I can just clarify a little bit,
Please.
when we build our budget for a year, we don't build the budget anticipating and allowing for a surplus. How a surplus would happen would be is if expenses come in less than what we anticipate, we get additional revenues, savings from operating the district. And as I've said, when we do the budget process, we start that process in the fall. I mean, we really only start fully operating in September. So, by the time we start doing our budget, it's November, December, January. We have basically a few months under our belt. As we go through the year, and we get closer to June, we do get a better picture of things. And if sometimes, like I said, we receive additional revenue, we're able to achieve some savings from things. And another big driver of our budget, which we've talked about, is health insurance. And being that we're self-insured, that is also a big variable. This year, we are doing much better compared to budget than we were the previous year. But we don't know how that's going to end up until we get to June. We track that on a monthly basis, and some months it looks like we're doing okay. The next month we could get really heavy month, and our projected overage is higher. It could come back. So that is very unpredictable for us. So so far, knock wood, I don't know if I have any wood around it. We've been holding to pretty close to what we budgeted. That wasn't the case the previous year. So it is hard to say, and I know it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a nice amount of money to be able to put in reserve, and we do need that. We have a lot of things that aren't included in our budgets, and we've talked about that. There's a lot of things that are not included in the operating budgets that we need to do, that we don't have the bandwidth to put in the budget. So putting money aside for future capital projects, and for unexpected maintenance expenses, like Mrs. Torres was talking about, is very important for a district our size. Anything that would come out of the capital reserve would be representative of a capital project, and it would absolutely be discussed by the board and by the committees, before we would be able to dedicate any of that money toward that. It actually would likely be something we put in the 27-28 budget, and the way that we're going to be able to do that would be to take the money out of the reserve that we've put aside. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that would be an additional revenue source in if we chose to do something in 27-28 to fund that, so it wouldn't have to come out of what we're trying to fund out of the tax levy and the state aid that we get. So it's not something that we're just going to put in reserve and then just start spending. There's a whole process for doing that. You have to have a board approval withdrawal. You have to budget for the project. It's not something that's just can be done freely.
No, I appreciate all that detail, and I think we're all fully in favor of reserves. I'm just saying that when we're budgeting, if we're responsibly budgeting, we kind of, right, you're forecasting throughout the course of the whole year. So as you get close to the end and you have like an idea, are we gonna be in the red or the black this year? That should be something that's on the budget end of it radar when we're getting closer to the end of the year.
Well,
I'm all for reserves, and I really appreciate all the
Well, and just
details.
keep in mind, with a $200 million operating budget, $2 million is 1% of our budget. So although it sounds like it is a larger number, in comparison to our entire budget, it really isn't.
Agreed, and last year we were ready to close 3 schools over it, so that's why I'm like, it's not like a drop in the bucket. I'm just saying that all we're talking about here, I think is really useful going forward, and that the things we're saying now, we need to remember going into the end of the year, especially from our perspective, because I don't think we heard that piece of it, because we're not mixed in it, so I appreciate all the detail.
And the other thing I'll just add to it is
Ms. Diane, it's 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm done, but if she wants
You
to, I
can,
just,
no, there'll be an opportunity to speak after.
the only thing I would want to, well, the only thing I would also want to say is it's not responsible for us to take anticipated surplus and use that to fund our operating budget too, because that's exactly what got us, to this spot in the first place. So we would not do that, even if we anticipated that we were going to have a surplus in a budget. We wouldn't use that to fund. So the prudent thing to do is to do what the board is doing right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment on agenda items only? Okay, we're going to move into the voting agenda items. Need an approval for the meeting minutes, 7A and 7B.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Abstentions? Need a motion to approve item 8A.
So moved.
Resolution urging relief from rising public school employee healthcare costs.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions. Professional appointments for 26-27 school year. Appointment, a motion for approval of number 9.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed on the auditing firm.
I'm opposed on the auditing firm.
Any abstentions? Business office consent agenda, need a motion to approve items 10A through W.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recommendation, superintendent of schools consent agenda. Need a motion to approve items 11A through I.
So moved.
Aren't we doing the appeal?
Is the appeal? Yes. I thought, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You do that.
So you can do the whole thing.
Would it be easier to do everything but the two appeal
Yes,
ends and then
yes.
just do, okay, so we could leave the first one as 11A through I, but excluding the appeals?
Yes. Okay, so,
Did we have a second on that?
yes.
Frank seconded.
Frank, okay.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstention. And then on the appeals,
You have two HIV appeals, HIV appeal 308031 and HIV appeal 306811.
okay, could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion, Mr. Burns, you want to clarify the vote?
A no vote would be, voting no would be not to overturn the recommendation of the board and/or building principal. Voting yes would be recommending the overturn.
Thank you. Right now. Take a roll call.
Roll call. Mrs. Minuis?
I am no on the yeses and yes on the nos.
No, these
Well,
are-
it's just the
this is
two
only
appeals.
Oh, no.
No? Mrs. Skolaski?
No.
Mr. Safarowski?
No.
Mrs. Tobacco?
No.
Mrs. Torres?
No.
Mrs. Weinstein?
No.
Mr. Capone?
No.
Mr. Avida?
No. Okay, now I need a motion to approve.
Right.
11J, HR1 through HR7.
So moved. We didn't do the others.
Yeah, we need
did.
to do the other.
We did it.
We did both.
So then I need to,
You want to overturn the,
no, I am a no on the 031, and I need to abstain on 811.
All right.
And then I'm going back to what I said before, and you told me it was just the
It was
appeal.
just the two, hang on, Ms. Mary. Which is 031?
The high school no.
So you're voting yes on that one?
I'm voting no on that one,
and abstaining.
and I'm abstaining on the second one.
88811?
That is correct.
Okay, and Ms. Minuis, you wanted to abstain on the second?
No, I wanted to vote no on the yeses and yes on the nos, but you told me we weren't doing that.
We did it already as part of the whole agenda.
Well, that's what I was saying before, and you told me, no, we're on the,
No, you voted already.
that's my vote.
So we have to relook at,
So that was the
11.
vote before,
we have to look
Yeah.
at 11A.
through I,
So-
excluding appeals.
Right, so what I would suggest, does anybody have any other changes with respect to B through I? Okay, so then what I would suggest is doing a re-roll call on 11A, excluding the two appeals.
I mean, we could do that, or I could just record.
I would, to make it clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do
Okay.
a roll call on it.
All right. Mrs. Minuis?
On A, I am no on the yeses and yes on the nos.
But for all other items in this motion, B
Yes.
through I?
No, we're not doing B through I.
Oh, you're just doing that?
We're just doing 11A, excluding the appeals.
Okay, all right, let me make them separate. Sorry, it's hard to... Did anyone, would we keep the same motion in second? Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mrs. Minuis, so you're a
Yes on the nose,
yes
no
on the
yeses.
nose, no on the yeses.
Right.
Okay. Mrs. Skolaski?
No.
Mr. Safarowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Tobacco? I'm confused.
You're approving the HIP report?
Yes.
Yes. You voted yes before.
Yeah.
Mrs. Torres?
Approving the HIP report, yes.
Yes. Mrs. Weinstein?
Yes.
Mr. Capone?
Yes.
Mr. Avita?
Yes. Okay, now I need a motion to approve item 11J, HR 1 through HR 7.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
I'm abstaining on the transfers.
So am I. Who was the so am I?
Aaron?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain on the transfers also.
Okay. All right. Old business.
I have some old business. Do we have board goals?
No, we're going to be working on it as part of the,
As part of what? I can't, I'm
with the
sorry.
superintendent, with the, I'm sorry, school boards. You said the meeting with Tim on that.
When?
He sent me some stuff, we kind of got sidetracked with the last couple of months, but I'll be addressing it next couple of weeks.
I'm just afraid that by the time we do it, we're gonna have a new board.
Right. Well, we also have a new superintendent coming.
I understand,
so
but the
we
superintendent's
try to
goals,
align everything.
the superintendent's goals are not the board goals.
Right. Okay, so we'll work on it, we'll get working.
Great.
Thank you.
No worries. I just have a quick old business question. I probably should have brought this up with the facilities report, but I'm wondering why half of what came up in the report stemmed from something that was brought to us by a community member from somebody that got fired that we were told was a non-issue. That is now being addressed in facilities, like it is an issue. So I'm just a little concerned about like how we're addressing leaks and particulates coming out of air ducts when we were told as a board that all of that was already addressed and wasn't an issue. I don't sit on the facilities.
We
so
asked
kind
for
of
a
understand.
follow-up in our committee, and that's what the follow-up was.
Okay, so some of those things
We're
are
still
now
following up on
being
everything.
addressed, but they weren't being addressed.
No, they were
before.
being, the way that it was explained to us in the in-depth part where they talked about the WIC and the meetings that had been happening, sorry, I'm trying to see you over there, was that what was reported to us, is what had been happening over those 3 months. That didn't happen in 2 weeks from when we got that letter to that next facilities meeting. It was going on, and then what Ms. Minuis asked for was the full reports. So all of that information about the WIC and the meetings and all of those things going on are what were supplied to us in the facilities meeting of everything that had happened up until that point, not just those last weeks.
Okay, so this is actually was something that had been happening beforehand, not just
Correct.
in response to.
Correct. The response was us getting the actual reported information and what we asked for and what is happening, and what Mr. Nasser and Ms. Daugherty showed us was a portal that we're going to make part of our facilities meeting so that we can see all of those things as they are happening. It was not a response to what we got in
We
that
kind of
letter.
wanted to know why we didn't know.
Essentially,
Right, yeah.
And that's what the information we're getting. And the report and meeting with the MTEA is something that they did prior to someone coming up and saying that, and the results that they got from that.
That's actually an ongoing process. That's
Yeah.
been going on for years. That happens on a fairly regular basis, that representatives from the district will meet with the MTEA Health and Safety Committee. That's been like a standing thing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have something old business. What happened at delegate assembly? Because we didn't receive any information on having a discussion on what to vote for, and it was held May 16th. Did you guys go?
I did not go.
Okay. If, Mr. Avita, if somebody's not gonna, and I get it, everybody has things to do, but if somebody's not gonna go, maybe you should put it out to the board so the rest of us could go and our town could be represented. I mean, as many times I was on that committee and it was not a good Saturday to go, but maybe, other people went in my place.
Well, I'm the delegate and Kat was the alternate, and neither of us could make it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Mr. Avita could find that out, he could have asked somebody else to go. That's all I'm saying. This way we get represented. It happens that people can't go.
Noted. Any other old business? Any new business?
Yes, I have a lot of it. Okay, I just wanted to say about all the things that I attended in the district. This is an amazing district, and I think that we get lost in the negativity. And it's something that I've talked to Mr. Cullen about and other people. We need to start promoting all the good things that are in our district, because our staff and our students are amazing at the things that they're accomplishing. And we're not giving them credit for that, and we're not giving our town credit. We're letting our town think our schools stink, and nobody cares. If you go to some of these events and us advertising it, you're gonna see what an outstanding school district we really are. And it's because of our staff and students and the collaboration from our parents and our parent groups and our administrators. We need to start getting on top of this, because we really do have an amazing school district. And I'm gonna tell you some of the highlights. On May 22nd, I went to the Corporal Thorne Memorial. Every Memorial Day, Thorne Middle School has that. Why that's so special is those kids know the history of their school. They know the history of what the property was before it was a school, what Corporal Thorne did. They met his family. Unfortunately, two of the older people have passed away in the last couple of years. They used to be a big part of that school every year. These kids don't forget, and as they come in, the education of how that school was named and what it stands for is incredible. They have a big thing outside. It's just school-wide. It's not a big public event, but they have their singers out there. They talk about the history. It's an educational moment, and it's really proud to see what the kids know about that history. So that's something that, my kids went there, so that's been going on for a long time, but it still amazes me to this day how these kids learn so much about the history of their school. I also attended the North and South Scholarship Awards. This was another incredible thing. I wasn't part of the South Scholarships. I don't know who on the board was, but I did reach out to get the numbers. South gave out $110,000 in scholarships. And this is thanks to our guidance counselors who put themselves out there, really digging to get scholarships for our kids. High School North gave out $144,000 in scholarships, and I'm sure that this is going to apply to South too, but when you add in the military academies and in, the Navy, nuclear, trade schools, and the armed forces, it came to $859,000 in scholarships to students in this district. Totally amazing. The number of colleges that they're applying to, I'm not even going to read them. There's at least 100 here that our kids are going to, and they're great colleges. The amount of students that are going into the military, I wish they could be here today so we could congratulate them. It is amazing, and we never talk enough about it. I look at some of these kids and I say, oh my God, I can't believe what they're going into. The hard work, the dedication. They're good representation from us, and each one of them in their scholarships thank the school district for the education that they've received here. That's a plus. It just blows my mind. I went to the North and South Honor Societies. The amount of kids that are being inducted into our honor societies, it gets bigger and bigger every year. I remember I used to go when I first got on the board, there'd be like 20 people from each school getting inducted. Not anymore. That auditorium was filled with students getting inducted. The guests, there was very little room for. That's accomplishment. That says a lot for our school and our education. Let's see. I also attended a few of the end of the year choir, chorus, and band concerts. I tell people all the time, and I wish we could get this out to our senior citizen centers. You don't need to go to the city to see plays or chorus or band. Our kids are amazing. And if you came to the graduations, you could see it. Our middle school bands are as good as our high school bands. And for them moving up, I can't imagine what our high school bands are going to be like next year. Because that's how amazing it was. Let's see. I also attended the award ceremony for the Lincroft Annex, now called the Workforce Academy in Freehold. Mr. Nazer was there. He gave a little speech on the history of what was done in that building. It was really nice to be recognized, and our custodians and maintenance, they deserve tons of credit for that. They did a marvelous job. We were a little over budget. That concerned me, but it's for a good cause. Our kids are going to gain a lot of good experience from it. But just getting recognized for that was really nice. And I think Mr. Nazer and his crew deserve a huge round of applause for that one. Let's see. I said it before, but I wanted to congratulate all the students entering military and armed forces. I wish them all the well, and I thank them for everything they've done for the school district. I've attended some field days, opening ceremonies. The kids are so proud. I'd like to thank all our PTAs and our parent groups for supporting that. That's really, they do a lot for our kids. They supply things that our district can't afford to do, and our kids, all of our kids benefit from that. So I want to thank all our parent groups. And let's see. I went to the Ocean Avenue Catch the Reading Wave. That was amazing. Mr. Cohen talked about that before. Totally amazing. These kids were so excited about books. And the teachers, they were up and dancing and singing in games to engage the kids. And the kids were rallying for their teachers to get the right answers about what books they were trying to describe on the screen. It was kind of like a maze. They put up pictures and you had to guess what the name of the book was. And the kids were screaming for their teachers to do it. And those were the books that they were going to get for their summer reading. And they each went home with books. It was just really nice to see kids really want to read. And they really got into it. It was really incredible. Mrs. Frazee did a good job putting that together. So kudos to her and the staff of Ocean Avenue for getting that involved. And the preschool graduation that was held here also was really cute. It was nice to see our high school students engaging with our preschool students and how much respect they have for each other, and how these kids love to come to preschool every day and be with our high school students and the teacher's amazing. That was also very well attended. It was nice to see the stage fright students to the ones that couldn't wait to keep going and singing and dancing, and I'm sure by next year we'll be seeing them singing and dancing at their kindergarten graduations. And that was it, but it was a lot of good things, and I really hope that we can get our district back on the map with positive things, because there's so much positivity going on. So thank you.
Any other new business?
I just want to piggyback on what Ms. Media said about the promotion ceremonies at the middle schools. I attended all three of them with her, and the bands were amazing, and it was really cool to see the different bands and how they all put it together, and the speeches that the students gave. And all of the ceremonies were very respectful, which I thought was incredible, even the high school graduations. And also on the Class 3 officers, I want to thank the town for giving some money back to us, because that's kind of been an issue that I've been pushing for the last 2 years, and I'm glad that we got, look, any money is better than none. And it's a step in the right direction, so thank you.
Any other new business?
Mine's unfortunately not nearly as positive. I've been trying to figure out how the best way to say this, but I got in the mail the other day a flyer from Rumson County Country Day School, that says, "Don't spend another year stressed about your school." This was targeted to my neighborhood. It says, "Elementary and middle school are the most formative years of your child's life. Let's make the most of them. All of these things, we want to make tuition affordable for your family. Ask us about tuition assistance." Why am I bringing this up? Because as board members, it is our job, and we must avoid conduct which is in violation of our public trust or which creates a justifiable impression among the public that trust is being violated. It has been violated immensely in the last 2 years. And the things that we are asking about, and as board members and as members of the public, are not fully being answered. They are not fully transparent. I don't know what it's going to take to have us to have a real conversation up here. I've been asking since January, since sitting up here, and have said it many times that I'm tired of hearing my own voice and saying the same thing. We go to these meetings, people are quiet, there is not a lot of conversation, and I don't know where these decisions are being made, but they are not being done in the public or in the full view of this board, and it needs to stop. If we are going to have goals and work together as a board, it starts with our leadership. It starts with every one of us actually being the adults and coming to the table to have these hard conversations. We have so much going on in this district, and yet we have the perception on social media, with real estate, with people in town and everywhere else that we are a disaster because the people up here make it look that way. It is embarrassing, it's political, it's grandstanding, and it has zero place in our board. Our job is to be a representative of the community to the schools and the schools back to the community. And we are not examples for the students. We have amazing staff that is leaving. We have students and families that are choosing to either go private, to move, or to do something completely different. And that is on us and what has gone on here in the last year and a half. And it continues. There are still rumors out there. There are still no trust between the public and this board, and quite frankly, members of this board and each other. And I'm right here. I am here for the conversation, so I'm asking for anyone that is willing to have those conversations. Let's go. Let's have the conversation. Does nobody, we really have nothing to say? Nobody has anything to say?
What do you feel like, do you want to have a conversation like right in this moment?
Sure.
Or do you want to set up like a forum to talk about very specific things? Because I know right now, I think what you're talking about is obviously off the table.
It's not off the table.
Okay. I just want to understand, and I think also sometimes some of us over the last year, given litigation, are a little uncomfortable speaking about things because of what we were told by lawyers that we're not allowed to talk about in public.
No, but we can talk about goals. What is the goal of this board? We can have a forward way of looking,
100%.
but we're not
focusing on that.
But we didn't, and we haven't. I can't hear you.
I didn't say.
No, somebody else was talking down there. I heard speaking.
We 100% have to put together board goals, and I think that that's something that, look, we've been here a short amount of time. It's been a very intense start to being on this board. I think that I'm here to talk about whatever you want to talk about, where I'm able to speak about goals and whatever we want to focus on. I want to be as transparent as possible, but there were times before where I was told I'm not allowed to speak about things.
But we are allowed to speak about things that we should have. We are not in a position to be making these decisions. That is the administrator's job. Our job is to create policy, to hire a superintendent, and then ensure that the administration is following the policies. That is the job of a Board of Education. We're not doing that.
Where do you feel like we're failing right now? Like in this moment, like what is top of mind?
In this moment,
Yeah.
I feel like everything has been pushed. Let's start with board goals. Let's start with strategic planning. Let's start with the fact that we have a superintendent that has left, principals that are leaving, staff that is beloved, experienced, and the heart of our buildings leaving. We have families leaving. That is because of the actions of this board.
And not for nothing, at the reorganization meeting, I brought up that we need to have board goals. And
I know, and then I did
we're
bring it
6
up.
months into it.
No, I brought it up like the next month, because I did have a conversation with Mr. Tian. And then we went through the whole budget process, and we know how that went for the last few months.
But regardless,
All right, so
we have to do
we'll get back
many
on
things at
track.
once,
Okay, and we will.
but we're
Can we set a
not.
timeline for board goals? We're gonna have board
I
goals?
said I'll get an email out to the board in the next week or so.
Because I have to be honest with you, when it goes like this, to me, and perception is reality, right? Mission accomplished. You've got your goals.
Is that your goal?
No, it's not my goal. That's why I'm bringing it up to have the conversation. It has never been my goal. But it seems to be the goal of the direction of this board.
I don't even know what that means.
The rumors
It means
out
that
there-
everybody's trying to close schools and do things their way instead of having the actual public in mind here. That we come to the table with things already decided and things already in the works before we actually have a conversation about it. Am I wrong?
Truthfully, the long-range facilities plan committee should be a committee of the whole. We should be doing it in public. What are we afraid to talk about in public? Why? Do we not want to talk about it in public? Because we're going to have to do it anyway. So why not do it the first time? I thought that this committee was just to educate board members, but that's not what it seems to be the talk about.
And I feel like this committee started, the talk of it, Ms. Doherty and I were talking about this, because last year we spent the entire year going through all the buildings with Ms. Doherty, Mr. Nasser, and myself, kind of top to bottom, looking at everything that was going on.
If I could just jump in, because I am the one who was pushing this with the board. The way that we wanted to approach this was, there's a lot of information that the board members on this committee need to be presented with and digest on their own before it can get expanded out to a larger group. And it should get expanded out to a larger group, but there's a lot of education and background that needs to be shared. You know, 2 out of the 4 members of the committee are relatively new to the board and haven't had the whole history and why this is important at this juncture. And I'm just going to speak for myself, and the recommendations that I made to start this committee is to be able to focus on this information alone. And the question also is, well, why isn't this being done in the facilities committee? Because the facilities committee has a lot broader scope than this. This is going to be focused purely on long-range planning, use of facility buildings going forward, and looking at the condition of our buildings. We, as you can see from our report that's from facilities, we cover a lot of different topics. It's not, and we don't have the proper time to spend on this. That's why it is a separate committee. But the intention is, and at least from my perspective, yes, eventually there will be broader participation, but my personal belief from being and working with all of you is that you're not all on the same level of background knowledge, because we haven't had the chance and the time to do that. So at least the first piece of this, the first, whatever amount it takes, a few meetings, whatever, needs to be that with the board members before, we can springboard into something else. So that's just the way I'm approaching it. But
Just to finish, if you're experiencing uncertainty or frustration with your child's current school, it's time to connect with RCDS, where the needs and interests of students always come first. That should be our goal, is to have the needs and interests of our students first, and that is not happening with this current board. If I'm wrong, please correct me. If you have something else to say and you can prove to me otherwise, please do.
In our conversations coming up recently, taking closures of school off the table, I'm getting the opinion that this is going to take a few years before any kind of decision is made, and it's going to take collaboration with the strategic plan, and it's going to take financial obligations, but that's not what the perception of the community is anymore. They're being told 3rd time's the charm, and we can't enter another school year like this. We can't. We've taken 2 school years, and our kids have lost education from January to June every year. This can't keep happening. It's not fair. So if that's the plan of the Long Range Facilities Committee, then that's pretty sad. Just speaking the truth. It's out there. I'm sure half of you people heard it, that's why you're still coming. It's really sad. People have no trust. So if that is the plan, somebody say it now, so these people know now. Because I'm being told it's going to take a couple of years to even come up with a good comprehensive plan for this district. Not to be thrown in September again to say we're closing schools. Discussion needs to be had.
I don't think that committee is focused on that. From my perspective, all I can tell you is coming into this town where this is a beautiful town that I'm proud to live in, the schools are a mess. They need a lot of work. And I think that outside of the day-to-day facilities planning, we do need a long-term plan to figure out what we're gonna do because they're not gonna take our kids past the next few years. All you have to do is walk in a building. They're falling apart. They're not up to modern standards.
But Sarah, how are you going to do that when you don't have trust in your community? We need, if we're going to do this, I get it, everybody wants modern schools. I would love them too, but it takes money. Right now, you put a referendum up, you would not get a dime. We need to rebuild our trust, and we need to maintain our schools. If we have to redistrict, we have to redistrict whatever it is we have to do to keep our kids in their community schools, because all we're hearing now is that everybody loves our communities, and I do. I'm the biggest town supporter there is. But you know what? Every time you rip a school out of our community, you kill the community. Our schools are important. We have to find a way to come up with a way to make these modern schools that everybody wants. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen by closing 3 schools. It's going to take a heck of a lot more money than that, and a lot more planning. When we went to the middle school graduations, I wish you guys were there. Those rooms were packed. There wasn't enough room for one more person. And yet we're talking about adding 100 to 300 kids to 2 of those schools. It's ridiculous to see that. It needs to have a comprehensive plan. And you know what? I'm tired of hearing people say, nothing's going to happen to my school because so-and-so's here. Nothing's going to happen to my school. Everybody's got to feel the pain to make this community stick together. We have to make decisions, and I don't mean pain, I mean everybody has to be together to make these decisions. We can't just pick a school here and there where we're not making money. If we're going to have to close a school somewhere down the line, we're going to have to look and see where are we going to make the money, because we need the money to build a new one. We're going to need money to build onto middle schools if we're planning on closing one. We don't have that money, but yet we're willing to jam these kids into crowded schools. And maybe you don't have middle school kids yet, but some of us that do know how crowded that gets. And middle school needs space, or they're going to be right on top of each other, and we're going to be sitting here with hib after hib after hib. These kids need to be kids, and they need the space to grow and learn. That's how I feel about middle school. High school, I think our high schools have come a long way since I've been on the board, but our middle schools, we can't be crowding them in like that. So if that's the plan, I'm asking again, if that's the plan, tell the people that you want to close their schools, because they're frustrated. People are moving out. I met 7 people the other day that are pulling their kids from our schools because their uncertainty of what's going to happen this year, just like what happened last year, just like what happened the year before. They don't trust us. And I'm not saying they don't trust you, they don't trust us. So go ahead, if you're gonna say it, Sarah, you wanna close schools, say
I don't
it.
have a plan. I'm talking about just making the schools better. That's the whole goal.
We all wanna
right?
make
Of,
our
like, trying to
schools
figure out
better.
what we can do to get these schools into the next generation. They're old. They need work. It's not the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee is not here as like a secret school closing committee. That has nothing to do with anything. It's a matter of trying to figure out what we can do to get the schools to the future. I'm not talking. Look, I've walked into schools. I'll give you a personal story. My kid's kindergarten graduation, my mom came. I didn't grow up with any money. She came in and I said, this looks just like the school I went to. And she said, your school wasn't a dump like this. It was nicer than this. My mother.
It's too bad to hear.
Yeah, it was horrible. And that's not what I want to hear, because I didn't come from a nice town. I came from a crappy town. It wasn't nice. So my goal, why I'm here, is to try and make it better for everyone. Everyone, that's the goal. Not to just close schools, just to make them better. That's it. There's no secret agenda, Joan. And I just wish we could maybe put some of the rumors like to
I
that.
wish we could too, Sarah, but they're coming with attachments.
I don't even.
People are tired of hearing it. They really are. We have to build the trust back in this community. And you're right, I have no problem saying we have to fix our schools. We do, but we need money to do that.
And just like we have projections, so do these private schools, and they are projecting that they are going to get our students, and they are targeting our students because our families are ready to find something that is certain. What we are doing is not certain.
There's so many good things to offer. Our schools are great. Our community's great. We've got great parks. So many great things to do in Middletown. I wouldn't want to move, and I'm a senior and I can't afford it, but I don't want to move. I love it here. But I love our schools too, and I think a big part that's missing is people are forgetting that people not only move to town for community parks and engagements, but they move here for their kids' education too. And our schools are a big part of this. We have to make sure we fix this for our kids' sake and our community.
Any other new business? Okay. All right, public comment on non-agenda items, 30 minutes.
Mr. Collin, do you have these? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Moricerta. I'm a district employee for many years. I've been at Navesink and Leonardo for at least the last 15. So the children and the staff are amazing with all of whatever's been going on. But the only reason why I came up was because I just want to give some clarification. I am also on the Health and Safety Committee for the MTPS. And whatever happened in the past that I'm unsure who brought it up about a firing of someone, that has nothing to do with the reports of the Airedales and the Black Portables. We have records because we started a Health and Safety Committee with the MTPS back in 2019. And we do have documents that do even note some of the concerns. So it's great that we were able to meet recently with Amy and Adam and share our concerns. We've always talked to, even before Adam, when there were Vinny and Walter and John and many others, Sean, they knew of the many of the concerns, but we've been able to dive in a little bit deeper of what they are, and like we're actually at a point where I think it's like, oh wow, so there really is understanding between everyone about the finances and what we might need to look forward to do and why we're still concerned. So anytime you have questions about it, we also would join in with you, and we've asked that before. But I just want to clarify, it has nothing to do with whatever was just said. This has been going on for quite some time. Documents are a little hard to come by because the district changed their system from Hero to another one, so there aren't full records. We don't have full records, but we do have a lot of information that could be very helpful when you work toward planning, and we welcome that. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
Ashley Studd, Middletown. Amy, I was a little concerned about the long-range facilities plan that you implied that you weren't going to be sending out the materials to everyone on the board, just the small committee. Did I hear that correctly? For like the preparation for long-range facilities plan?
You want me to respond? I didn't say that we weren't sending out information. We said we were starting with this committee to focus specifically on these issues and present information to that committee to start, so that we then could expand to a larger group and have more detailed discussions and start moving forward. But you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And with the board committee, that would be the logical place to start.
I think for the sake of transparency and trust, the whole board should get whatever materials are being dispersed, whether or not you decide to go forward with a smaller group meeting, but just having everyone in possession of all the same information so that they can digest it. I think if our elected officials want to be part of this process, I personally really would like them to be. And the more the merrier. And if we have to have a meeting like this for you guys to talk about it, I personally am just here to advocate for that. I think we need a lot of work to do to regain trust, and I think that would go a long way.
So as a cabinet team, we actually were just discussing today, not specifically the long-range facilities plan committee, but integrating more of these information presentations into our board meetings in the, going forward, so that we could have more of these sharing of information sessions with the entire board and also at the public meetings. So we have been discussing that and how to incorporate that into our meetings.
Yeah, because I'm concerned that some of the people on the committee weren't at any of the strategic planning sessions last summer, so I just want to make sure that that's all going forward. And then as far as our crumbling schools, if we are not getting together as a board to try and fix things going forward, in addition to having crumbling schools, we're losing staff. So like, you're just making a bad problem worse. I get we have crumbling schools, but I'd rather have our staff there with like a little bit of assurance. So like, let's really focus on that and like try and turn things around, say some things. I don't know, maybe like a board president report beginning the meeting about the things you're gonna focus on to make the board better. The silence is deafening. So anything you can do to show that you want to work towards something good would be awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Kristen running Middletown. Just processing all this Amy explained to me before. I just wanted to say this again, Amy, I think you said this at the end of your statement, that it's not a good idea to spend reserves to cover budget shortfalls that could be addressed through a tax increase. So another thing to keep high on our list, because I think that's how we ended up in the hole we were in last year. And then just on a positive note, I do want to thank all the retirees. There were a lot of retirees this year, and a bunch of amazing educators, because we do have very, very amazing teachers and students here. And just a thank you and to the teachers that are leaving. Unfortunately, our Bayshore students have had to endure 2 years of uncertainty, and now they were happy that their schools would be open next year, and then they found out, they're losing some of their best teachers, and they're losing their very amazing principal, Mr. Curtis, who I do not fault for finding a new stable job somewhere, but he was next level as far as building administrator goes. So congratulations to him on that, and thank you to all he did to make our kids stay happy and steady during this pretty crappy couple of years. And I am looking to the future, and I appreciate Joan talking about all the positivity. I really want also to build positivity and to come back here more often and start talking about how we can improve the lives of our students and our staff and retain them and build ourselves back up again, because we're better than this. And we have a lot going for us, and I really, really appreciate it, and I'm thankful that my kids are here. I have an almost senior who's thriving and is so, so thankful for the education she got, and this is all making her very sad, because our kids lived through COVID, and now I feel like 2 other years of our lives have been stolen by this. It's had a shadow over their education, it's had a shadow over our experience. As parents, we're supposed to be enjoying everything that happens, and the last couple of years, we've all been, on edge and waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I'm hoping for a positive year forward. We're all here to work together. We're all here to be constructive, productive, and I hope that we can move forward and be positive and get back to what we know we're good at. So thank you.
Emily Donahue, Middletown resident. I often come up here and I have to speak to you, Amy, and I apologize because you're the one that always has to deal with my emails and my questions, but you're normally the only one that has the answers, so I do apologize. One of the things that just kind of sits with me, and as I looked at the agenda and saw this up to $3.5 million, and why it hit so hard, I think, to this community is because, and you nailed it, you said it, right? Like, it is the responsibility of this board to put it into reserves, right? Because we shouldn't put it to operating. But we got that money because you increased taxes that maybe you didn't need to. Now I get it, $3.5 million is, like you said, 1%, which is true, but that is taxpayer money, and we should know if there's gonna be a surplus. I know you're doing the best that you can, but if we truly feel that our schools are crumbling and we're going into our elementary schools and we're embarrassed, why are we not advocating all year long to be using the money the way that it should be used? If we're embarrassed of our elementary schools, why are we sitting here with 7 days left to go in the year talking about it when we could have already been like advocating for our schools? Why are we waiting? We could be taking this money that we're now putting into reserves and voting on it to put money back into our schools. Why is it always after the fact that we're having these conversations? And you might have the answer, but like I can't sit here and accept that, you know, you really know the right things to say, and I think you're actually quite brilliant, but like, I find it hard to believe the fact that why are we not advocating as a group to invest in our schools now? We have the money, now we're putting it into reserves for capital improvements, which I don't know what those projects are, but I think that should be discussed as a board before you voted on it. You know, and maybe it did, but I'm just so confused on why we continue to accept it. Like, this is a board. If you're embarrassed of your schools, why aren't we doing anything about it? And it can't be at the expense of closing schools to then pay for it. Because I don't think this public is going to want, the public hasn't accepted it, but now we're going to come back to this conversation, which the whole community has heard third time's a charm, which is absolutely devastating for our children to hear. But how are we going to accept knowing the fact that we're putting $6 million into reserves, $9 million of bonds are coming out, are about to mature, and if our schools are crumbling, why aren't we talking about it in January, February, March, and April? Why are we talking about it in June? We knew this money could potentially be here. So that's all I'm asking is why do we continue to do this? And it's going to roll into strategic planning and roll into long-range facility planning. And this is why the community needs true transparency. And you guys promised us that. So enough with like telling us the things that you think we want to hear and just start being honest. Because if we're embarrassed of our schools, we should have been doing something 6 months ago, 7 months ago, a year ago. But like we can't continue to just accept the fact that you're going to say something nice and that we're going to, because I think you're brilliant, I actually think you know what you're talking about, but why is nobody else advocating?
So is it okay if I respond? So years ago, we were in a pattern of being able to preserve money out of each year's budget and put it in reserves. And then what would typically happen is after we knew that we were able to do that, the very next year we would make plans to do some major projects that we couldn't absorb in our regular budget and use that money to do that. It would be, it's the goal to be able to continue to do that. And like I said, you know, we don't know exactly how much we're going to have for reserve. That number is a max. It's not going to be as high as $3.5 million. I always overshoot it because I just want, just in case the state decides to fund all of our extraordinary aid or that we want to. So the plan would be, right, we're not in the business of building a reserve just to have the reserve. The reason you put money in reserve is so that it's set aside not to fund your operating budget, but to do improvements to the schools. And so that's why I was referencing, you know, as we start to build, because believe it or not, I know everybody in this room is going to hate to hear it, but in a few months, we're going to start in serious and earnest building the next budget. It's pretty much a year-end process. So as we do that, you know, now that we'll know that we have certain monies put aside, we can actually say, okay, let's prioritize some real, you know, what are the most needed projects around the district? Because at this point, we don't have enough money. We're talking about modernizing schools and doing, we're actually talking about triaging schools. You know, we need new windows, we need new parking lots, we need
but we caused that.
HVAC.
But we caused it. Like,
well, but let me finish.
Yeah.
So what you could do with your capital reserve is at least pick out the most needy of those projects, budget for them, you know, in the very next budget. And if we know that it's going in the 27-28 budget, then you can start, you know, even before that fiscal year starts in July, you can start months before that, because if you're going to do a major project, you really need to start working on it, you know, probably 6 to 7 months before the end of the year. So, you know, hopefully we can get to a point where we say, all right, we're going to be including this in the next budget. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get the project designed. Let's put it out to bid. But we know we have the money. If we don't have the money set aside, we can't do any of that. So that's, I know it seems that it's hoarding money to hoard money, but it's not.
Oh, I don't think that, Amy.
It's
I don't-
putting it aside so that we know it's there, so we can plan something, actually get it done, in a reasonable
I'm
timeframe.
all for that, but I think it's very hard for a community to accept that coming off of 2 years in a row of saying we are in such financial distress that we're closing our buildings, right? So it's hard to, I'm totally supportive. I think we need it. I think we need reserves. We need to reinvest in our schools. I'm begging for that. But both things can't be true. We can't be closing schools and then putting millions of dollars in reserves. And without even talking about, and I know my time is up, so I'll be respectful, but with redistricting, I think the conversation has to continue. And I think the community wants to know the fact that this will not be rushed. And I thank you. I guess I'm done, but hopefully this conversation continues, not just here, but amongst all of you as you continue strategic planning. Thank you.
Hi, sorry to keep everybody. I swore I wouldn't speak anymore, but Vera Paseki, Ashar Drive. For somebody that's lived through 4, 5 attempts to fix things, Mr. Kirkpatrick, how many do you think we lost track? I've lost track. So for somebody that has gone through this, I'm going to tell you all, the people that have been suffering the most through this for decades have been the children with special needs. Everybody can talk about their own little silos, their own little schools, but for years, the kids with special needs have been pushed where there's room. Now that hasn't had to happen recently, but these kids zigzag back and forth through the district. And I will tell you from these 4 or 5 attempts that I've seen at fixing, the thing that fails it the most is it tends to be a bit too extreme. We don't make little fixes. We don't redistrict. We don't move things. There were many wonderful plans in this plan that everybody is shunning that related to children with special needs. It allowed getting the autism classes to have a direct line into high school, so they didn't have to zigzag. It allowed some of those students to get back to their home schools, and now everything seems to have fallen. So until everybody gets out of their little silos and stops worrying just about their own little home, this is never going to happen. And I will tell you, I've seen it. I've seen the Navasink trailers close. Those kids with special needs get moved somewhere else so that the neurotypical kids at Navasink can have their space and nobody else has to move. It just is a constant. And what, I got a phone call last week from a mom that they want to move her son out of a home school because they say they have no room for any intensive therapy. I mean, it's sad. The child's sibling is there, okay? But everybody tends to look at their own little silos, and this has been going on for decades. And until we all come together and look beyond our little borders, this is never going to get fixed. Thank you.
Hi, Melissa Doss, Middletown resident. I've been sitting here listening about our crumbling buildings. I have been in schools as an educator for 26 years, and I can tell you as an educator, most kids do not remember their crumbling building. They remember how they felt in that building. They remember their friendships. They remember their teachers. They remember how they felt, the things that they learned, the special things that their parents came to. I know even growing up myself, I don't remember what my building was like. And I worked in buildings that were built in the 50s, the 70s, the 80s, and most recently in the 2000s. And I worked in a very modern school that had a hole in the floor of my classroom on the 2nd floor. So modern does not mean better. Our children deserve places where they feel safe, where they feel valued, and where they feel like they belong. It's the connections that make the building. It's not necessarily what it looks like. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have new windows or HVAC, but that's not what the kids remember. Okay, they remember how they felt. They remember the things they learned. They remember their friends and their teachers. It's the memories that they make. They probably don't remember that they had a smart board or that there was a TV in their classroom, or when I went to school, the TV was rolled in on a cart. Okay, those things are great, but that's not what truly, truly matters. And I think we need to remember that and make decisions that reflect that. My own child refused to go to school yesterday because one of his beloved teachers is leaving to go to another district because of the instability of this board. He is losing 3 of his classmates because the parents have decided to go private. And I know for some of you, that's your goal. You want our attendance to go down so you can, consolidate buildings. But that's not how we attract good families to this district. And I think it needs to stop, and you need to start thinking about the children. Thank you.
Katie Littlepage, Middletown. Mr. Almeida, how did you decide who would be on the long-range facilities plan committee?
I asked everybody who wanted to be on it, and chose 4 people.
Okay. And so I'm hearing that at the previous meeting, Ms. Torres and Ms. Minuis volunteered first. So why were they not chosen then? Or I know Ms. Minuis is chosen. Why was Ms. Torres not chosen then?
It wasn't a matter of not choosing anybody. The whole board didn't have an opportunity to weigh in on it. So after everybody weighed in on it, I picked 4 people, and that's who the committee's made up.
Okay. So the committee is Ms. Minuis, Ms. Skolaski, Ms. Weinstein, and who's the 4th one? Mr. Capone. So speaking on the concept of trust, you have a committee that is supposed to do some work for the majority of the work for the long-range facilities plan, comprised of 3 members who were in favor of closing schools. And you have 1 person who was not in favor of closing schools. It doesn't seem balanced. Do you think that that's balanced?
Is that your interpretation of the committee?
Yes, and then I'm asking you if you think that that's balanced.
I don't see it that way.
Could you explain more?
We're a board of 9. So like we said before, the committee will discuss it, and it's discussed with the entire board.
Mm-hmm.
4 committee members cannot make a decision for this board.
Mm-hmm.
It's voted on by the full board.
Okay.
And the majority of the board makes the decision.
Okay. I just wanted to point that out. And then in terms of wellness, Ms. Weinstein, I do appreciate that you want to take the initiative of instilling some wellness opportunities for our children, such as gardening, like you said, outdoor education, things like that. I would also ask you to take into consideration the concept of stability for our children, the concept of stress on our children and cortisol, because that contributes to their level of wellness. They can't enjoy an outdoor garden and outdoor activities if they feel a lack of stability. I'm a mother, you're a mother. We know that stability is the number 1 thing that we can provide for our children to make them feel safe. So that is a part of wellness. I think that's the most important part of wellness. And so I would ask that you champion that and that you advocate for our children to feel stable. We were told after the district got a large tax increase last year that was going to buy us time to formulate a long-term plan for the district. And then we were all slapped in the face and said, no, that's actually, I understand, I'm wrapping up, thank you. We were all slapped in the face and said, no, that's not actually happening. We're going to close schools. And you were one of the people, Ms. Weinstein, to vote for closing schools multiple times. And that creates a lack of stability and a lack of wellness. So I'm just bringing that up, and I hope that you'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Scott McPherson, Middletown resident. The public perception, it doesn't feel like school closures are off the table. It just doesn't. And look what this process has done to our district. There's been comments, we lost a great principal at Bay Shore, Mr. Curtis, who, I don't blame him, his job's been on the chopping block 2 years in a row. We hear from people that families are leaving the district or not bringing their kids into the district because of the instability in the district and the unknown as to what's going to happen. And if it's really true that a board member is saying, we're telling people third time's a charm when it comes to closing schools, that should embarrass every single person sitting up here tonight. At this point, if you're still pushing school closures, it doesn't feel like it's about finances. It feels like it's about getting your way and wanting to be right. My view of being a board member, it's supposed to be about serving the community, listening to families, and doing what's best for our students and our district. It's not supposed to be about personal agendas. Our district deserves better than this constant cycle of uncertainty, and we need to move forward and move away from that cycle. And Mrs. Minuis is right. I'm a product of this school district. I have a lot of pride in the school district. And the way we are perceived now, it's ridiculous. It's horrible. And it's not just in Middletown, it's throughout the state. I'm an attorney, I travel throughout the state, and I get in conversations with people sitting in courtrooms and they, oh, you're from Middletown? What's going on there? It's horrible. We need to be better and do better. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? No motion to close public comment?
Somebody's coming up.
Real quick.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to know, is there an update on the
You need to
superintendent?
please state your name.
Sorry, Heather from Middletown. Is there an update on
Heather.
the superintendent Colbert?
Cover.
I'm sorry, what was the question
Is
again?
there an update, any updates on the superintendent process?
Yes, we had a meeting tonight with New Jersey school boards, and we'll be posting for the position shortly.
Okay, so it hasn't even got to that step yet.
No.
I know at an earlier meeting you had mentioned an outside consulting firm would be utilized. In what capacity?
New
is that
Jersey
again?
School Boards is going to be running a search for us. New Jersey School Boards Association.
Okay, so it's
right.
not a hiring, it's not a headhunting company?
No.
And New Jersey School Board would be doing the interviewing process and the hiring process?
No, the board would be doing the interviewing. They'll get all the people that respond, the candidates. They'll submit it to the board will review the candidates, and then we'll choose who we will be interviewing.
That's the normal process, because the way it was presented at an earlier meeting, you were saying, oh, this is a great thing, this is an outside source that's going to be used. At least that's the way I perceive the
I don't
information.
recall saying we would use
No, so this
outside
is the
source.
normal way, nothing new. Okay. And then how about, we're missing two principals now, right? Leonardo's principal was moved into another position, and now we have the resignation at Bay Shore.
Correct.
So, are we anywhere with those? Are those positions posted?
Yes, those positions are posted. There's interviews actually tomorrow. We'll have recommended candidates definitely for the July agenda, and the recommendations we'd like to share with the public before that.
Okay, and that's the same, the board votes them in?
Those are recommendations of the superintendent.
The superintendent will recommend candidates for board approval.
So the superintendent who's done,
At that time, it will be the interim superintendent, so that will be me.
okay, I'm just wondering what the process is. Like, updates to the public would be nice, you know, it's important, like we've talked about again and again, this instability that we're projecting out to the town, and then not knowing if our kids are going to have anybody, if we're going to have anybody higher up running the show. It's important. All this information would be important. I know someone suggested maybe you open the meeting with a little, you know,
Okay.
leadership and sharing and getting the transparency out there and keeping everybody informed.
Thank you.
Sorry. I have something unrelated, Kristen Rooney, sorry. I know these weren't my words, but my heart hurt when I heard it. None of our schools are dumps. That's very, very degrading, and I know you might not have meant it the way you said it, but for a community or a school to hear the word dump in a description of it is kind of crushing because none of our buildings are dumps. Maybe they need new windows, maybe they need a new door, a new curb, but our buildings have been here for a long time. They're part of our history in Middletown, and they're part of what our town loves. And there are custodians and staff and teachers who give their blood, sweat, and tears to keep those schools beautiful, running, shiny, and safe for our children, because our schools are safe. And while I appreciate the need for safety, I just personally want to say to the school community that was just insulted that your school's not a dump. Nothing here is a dump. Everything could use a new coat of paint maybe, but if someone said that in relation to my kid's school and my kids heard it, they would be like, oh my God, Mommy, is my school a dump? Like, why are we even going there? So I just think it was a bad choice of words, and it hurt me to hear it.
Those weren't my words.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
I felt when I heard
Okay,
it too.
you said that your mom said it, so.
Right. And
To call a school a dump in your position is probably just not, it's not a good look.
I was saying that was one of my impetuses for when
Okay.
someone said that. It hurt me to think
said
that
it from
too,
you.
and that's
Okay,
why I
all right.
voted.
It's worth a clarification because, like, it doesn't feel good to hear, especially if it's
That's
their
how
school.
I felt too, 100%.
Okay, just wanted to put that out there because we have beautiful schools and beautiful teachers, and yeah, do they need some help? Sure. None of them are dumps. They're amazing.
Okay, public comments now closed.
If you're elected.
We have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
Excuse me.
There's a motion.
Excuse me. Katie Littlepage, Middletown, very quick.
There's a motion to close the
I was-
meeting.
I was on my way up. Should I pull up
There's a
my
motion.
speech from January 27th when you silenced me and the rest of the public during public comment when there was still 15 minutes remaining during public comment? This is on tape right now. This is being recorded. Is this how you want to be recorded, Mr. Aveda? I have a quick comment to make on the strategic planning that I attended over the summer and you did not, correct me if I'm wrong. Ms. Weinstein, at that strategic planning session over the summer, we resoundingly as a community said that we value our community schools. Nowhere in there did anyone say we want modern schools. We said we value our community schools. So I think we would like to see this board rally around what the public who came to those strategic planning sessions and made their voices heard and said this is how we would like you all to use our taxpayer money that you are responsible for managing. We are telling you how we want you to use it. And we told you that we want our community schools. We would like to see our community schools protected and upgraded. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments closed. There's a motion on the floor to close the meeting, adjourn the meeting. Need a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.